Welcome to the Blue Trouser Brewer. We have another brew day, and I thought I'd start this one a little differently today. I'm going to start this brew day with a beer review. This is Siren's Twisted Breakfast Stout. This is the Cacao and Hazelnut Broken Dream. I managed to get this can from Honest Brew. So they'd obviously sold on some to Honest Brew, great website. Go check out if you've not seen it before. So I thought I'd start with a beer review, and that is going to lead on to me then brewing or attempting to brew a clone of this beer, which I will add, I don't have a recipe for, but I have managed to pull together what I think is probably a fairly close representation. So let me talk you through what the beer is about. So it's their, if you've not had Broken Dream, that's just their classic milk stout, about 6.2%. This is 6.5%. It says an indulgence of chocolate and specialty malts. Broken Dream is smooth and unctuous and moorish. It's brewed with milk sugar for balance and mouthful feel, along with carefully selected espresso. So it's a coffee milk stout. As a special one-off, we've taken it a step further, spinning the beer on cacao nibs and hazelnut for a delicious praline twist. Let's get it cracked. Oh, it smells good. So I've got my Honest Brew glass as well. So I can't do label out because it's a can. Nice little fizz. Tan head. You can smell it just straight off the bat, just that big classic roasty but sweet kind of what you would expect from, or often what you get from a kind of milk stout, coffee milk stout. You're getting coffee, really strong roasted malts, sweetness, loads of breadiness. I'm not sure if I'm picking up the hazelnut. You're definitely getting loads of chocolate. I'm not getting the hazelnut, but that might be a little more subtle set in the background in terms of the aroma, but I'm hoping it's going to be pretty big on the flavour. So, cheers guys. So straight up, you get a big whack of coffee. The coffee, then the roasted malt. The coffee just lingers throughout. Lots of chocolate. That kind of lingering flavour of chocolate when you have dark chocolate. Can't say I'm noticing the hazelnut much. It is in there. But it's subtle, it's just intertwined in the middle of the flavours. I had to go for a second swallow, a second slurp to kind of pick up the hazelnut. You get it kind of in the middle, and then kind of as you swallow, just after you swallow, it's kind of there. It's not super pronounced. It's not like some of those crazy kind of pastry stouts you're seeing at the moment, and those really strongly flavoured stouts with, you know, peanut butter or banana or coconut or whatever that tend to just scream that particular flavour. This is more, yeah, it's just a slight twist on their standard beer, which Broken Dream, if you've not had it, I believe won best beer in the UK in 2018, I think, and it is an absolute banger. So the recipe, let me talk to you about the recipe. Okay, so there was a little giveaway. If you go onto their website, it has a brew sheet which gives a rundown in terms of all the malts that are in there. This obviously has coffee and lactose in it, also has hazelnut in it, and it has cacao nibs. So I pretty much had all of the component parts in order to understand how this beer is made up. It also talks about the hops, so I'll get onto that in a second. I've gone with all of those plus the lactose, and I've broken it down to 66%. In this case I'm using clear choice, crisp clear choice, not Marisota. I've gone golden naked oats as well as standard flaked oats. I've gone, and that is at 5.8% and 5.8%, so that is 11.6% in total. The brown malt is 5.3%, chocolate malt is 5.3%, lactose is 4.2%, which is unfermentable. Cacao aroma is 2.8%, roasted barley is 2.8%, and the smoked wheat malt, which is what I'm using, 1.7%. So it's just going to be very subtle in the background. The original gravity is coming at 1069, which should give me, and the final gravity will be at 1021, which will be quite high, but that's because of the lactose, which will give me a beer coming in about 6.3%. The EBC is 90 and the IBUs are about 38. The beer brew sheet says that they use Apollo hops. Now I've used Apollo hops before in a New England IPA, but I've never used them since. I don't have any. Basically, Apollo hops give you some piney, resiny, catty, citrusy, grapefruity, orangey kind of flavours. Right, sound all fairly reminiscent of hops in general, and in particular sea hops. So instead of using Apollo, I'm going for Columbus at first walk, Chinook at 30 minutes, Columbus again at 10, Cascade at 5, and some Amarillo at 5. So hopefully that will sum up pretty much kind of where we're at. In fairness, not a massive amount of hops. It's not really a hop forward beer. That's just there to really support the overall flavour. What really shines is the cacao, the coffee, the hazelnut, and the specialty malt. That's really what you want to be shining through on this beer. I'm using London Ale 3, which I've got several starters going, because I am going to need a fairly sizable amount of this given the original gravity. I will be adding cacao nibs. I'll be adding 100 grams of cacao nibs in the Whirlpool, which I will whirlpool at probably 100 degrees and down. I will then add 100 grams of cacao nibs in the secondary as effectively a dry hop. I will add 300 grams, 300 mils of pre-brewed, probably good quality espresso coffee, and I will add some hazelnut essence, which I ordered from a site called Classical, which I will link in the video below. They do loads of different flavours, recommended to me by a guy from my brew club that has used them quite a few times before and rates them very highly, and I'll be adding that when I keg the beer. So it's going to be a really interesting adventure into how close I can get this beer. I hope you enjoy the brew footage. It is the day before Brewday, so a little bit of Brewday prep just to save time tomorrow. I'm going to weigh out my grains. I am going to run some water into the B80Pro, and a quick thing I've noticed actually recently in the last brew was, in fact the brew before that, I had the valves open so that what ended up happening was water flooded into the coil, into the counterflow chiller, and I think that caused a bit of a problem for my efficiency in the end. The last brew I just set it up in this way, so this is flowing that way, that's flowing straight through, so effectively operating the bypass to the chiller, and the last brew that I did, which was a bitter, my pre-boil gravity was bang on. In fact, I think a point above, and my original gravity came in a point above. But previous to that, quite a few of the brews were coming in on point pre-boil, but 3 or 4 points short on the original gravity, and that beer that those were slightly higher gravity beers. So I'm wondering, just in terms of potentially I won't have been adding that water in the chiller pre-boil. It won't be until I start recirculating, then all of a sudden I'm effectively adding I don't know how many litres, probably at least a couple of litres, which is potentially causing that drop in eventual efficiency. So I just need to keep an eye out for that and make sure I don't do that again. It's only been a week since my last brew day, and I've got a little friend. Well, it's all mashed in, and we've done the 20-minute rest. So I was trying something slightly new at the recommendation of one of the BREWTOOLS owner Facebook users, Adam Broad, which had picked up from David Heath, which was to just mash in very carefully, very slowly, on the proviso that really it's your only opportunity just to make sure that every single piece of grain is just getting wet, so it's really just avoiding dough balls. And actually I think it probably has some credence, so I've been giving that a go just to make sure that's have every opportunity to get efficiency where it needs to be. I talk about efficiency a lot. I'm a bit obsessed by it, I think. But I think it's a massive part of brewing, isn't it, in terms of how it affects the ABV, and in some respects how it will affect the body of the beer. And you really want to kind of hit the numbers. It's important because that's how you design the beer. So, you know, I'm still trying to work out this system. Even I think this is like nine brews in now, my 9th brew day on the system, so still trying to figure things out there. Anyway, I've taken a sample for the mash pH, and I've now just put the timer on for a 60-minute mash, and I'll put the hat on in a second and start recirculating. So here's the sample for the mash pH. Just get my pH meter. My pizza's just arrived. I'm having a dirty takeaway pizza. Been at IKEA for the afternoon, which was a massive effing mistake because it was mental, and I took the entire family. But I got what I needed. Toilet's broken upstairs, so I had to pick up a new siphon from, or a new system from Screwfix, and I did pick up some beers from Unity Brewery on the way as well, which were a collection of Unity beers, Daya beers, and Elusive beers. So I've actually got a bottle of the Elusive Shadow of a Beast, which I'm just drinking now, and I'm pleased to report that I think I got pretty close, which I was really pleased by. And I also got one of Elusive's Red Ales, which I think is one of their core beers. It's an American red ale, so I'm kind of keen to. I think that might be an autumn brew So let's have a look. pH wise, we are at, so far, we are at 5.47, 5.46. I think Brewfather was calculating at 5.4-ish. I've forgotten to capture much brew footage this evening because I've been having a few beers and I was on a Zoom chat for a while, and yeah, just sort of forgot. So everything's been going pretty well. I think I managed to hit my well, in fact I oversparged ever so slightly. I gathered an extra litre pre-boil. That meant I was 2 points short on my pre-boil gravity, and the boil has gone reasonably well. I'm just getting to the end of that now. I think OG's looking about 2 points short as well, and I'm just boiling for a little bit longer. I've actually been running an 80-minute boil, so I think it's actually turned out to be a bit more like 90 minutes. That might have minor impacts to the IBUs. Maybe make the beer slightly more bitter, but I'm not too concerned about that. I'm not going to go crazy and add like another half an hour or anything. So yeah, I'm going to be cooling this beer down and chucking it in the FV. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to need to Whirlpool the cacao nibs. So those currently are just in an old mash in the bag, brew in the bag, mash bag thing. Those will go in once I've turned the elements off. Obviously that will scorch on the elements if I'm not careful, so I'll probably cool the beer down ever so slightly. It should be hot enough therefore just to pasteurise and sanitise the bag and the nibs, and I'll whirlpool that for a little while, 20 minutes maybe. Depends how late I want to go to bed, and I reckon that would be chucking loads of nice chocolate flavours in there, and then it would be a full cool down. Put it in the brew bucket. It's not going to go in the Fermzilla tonight because let me just move my chair out of the way, because my bitter is still fermenting away. In fact, it's pretty much finished now. I've capped it, it's under pressure. I'll be pulling this out. You can just sit in the garage with a towel around it. I'm in no rush with this beer. I'll probably chuck it back in the fridge at some stage once primary fermentation for the stout is done. I can cold crash the bitter, get that onto a keg, and then by which time I can then put the stout back in the fridge, cold crush that, and you see what I'm doing there. So all good. And here she is whirlpooling, sat at 80 degrees. Here's the cacao nibs in a bag, just chilling out, soaking it up, having a nice bath. Oh, blocking my pump up. Shit the bed. Probably need that on the other side. So I chucked some extra boil time onto this beer. Maybe only 5 minutes. Which has ended up bumping the OG up to 1071, maybe even 1072, which was actually a little higher than what I wanted. Ended up, I wanted 1069. That said, what will be all the starter volume that I'll be adding in, which will be nearly 2.5 litres of starter. So we finished the, I finished the whirlpool. I've pulled the nibs out, so they're just sat there. smelling stouty and chocolatey. Got everything ready for the transfer. So this is my brew builder, stainless steel flat bottom fermenter, and this is how the beer's looking right now. Nice clarity on it. Here she goes. Good morning, viewers. So it's the morning after the night before, and quick update. We have airlock activity thumping away. Smells gorgeously fruity in the fermenter, in the firm fridge. So pleased with that. I'll need to have a check on Brewfather as to whether my ice spindle's pushing some updates or not. So I'll check that in a minute. Good. Until the dry hopping. Right, you lovely lot. It's kegging night for the hazelnut chocolate stout, and fermentation has gone fine. I have added some cacao nibs, which I soaked in bullet bourbon, only a fairly small amount, just to sanitize those. Poured the bullet bourbon tincture into the beer, added the cacao nibs in a sanitary hot bag. That's been sat for not actually that long, 48 hours maybe. I think I did it Friday night when I was brewing. And I have also, let me show you, I have brewed up some cold brew coffee. This is actually some ground coffee that I had from Christmas, which was a Christmas style coffee which had some cinnamon in, some red berry type flavours, and lots of chocolate. So that'll be going in the keg. That's been on since this morning. It's now about 9 PM, and I'm going to be adding this as well, which is Heavenly Hazelnut food flavouring from classical.com. I was recommended these by a fellow brewer from my homebrew club, and that whole thing's going to go in. So I have actually got some others that I ordered as well. So I got peanut butter, coconut and banging banana. I'm going to do a semi-closed transfer. I'll still be sucking air in through here, but it will go straight in the keg, and it saves a bit of faffing with auto siphon. It's been smelling very good, even in the FV. Loads and loads of chocolate, which is what I wanted. So I'm not in a rush to drink this, although that being said, 2 kegs kicked yesterday, the same day. I was devastated. So I've literally only got 2 kegs on. I've got the bitter, which has been conditioning for about just over a week. There she is. Pretty pleased with the clarity. It needs longer in the keg really. It needs some more condition time, but even so, it's tasting pretty good now. Tiny bit overcarbed. I ended up fitting some new secondary regulators into the Keezer in the hope that I could keep this one pretty low, but I have ever so slightly overcarbonated it. I'm not sure if it's that easy to keep it like at a real ale, kind of carbonation in corny kegs. If it is, if there's a trick, tell me, comment below. So what else have I got on? I have got the cheeseburger cavalry. I really struggle with saying that word, cavalry. The cheeseburger cavalry. There you go. Which has been very enjoyable. I'm enjoying that a great deal, and I think there's probably about half a keg of that left. So I need to get my brew on, right? I'm going to keg this. Sour will go in a keg in a couple of weeks. We've got the live Brewday this or next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, it's Sunday night. So I'm all sorted on that front. I've finally got the vanilla beans come through from the malt miller, so yeah, looking forward to that. That's going to be great fun if it's anything like the last one. Good. So I'll try and get some footage of kegging time for you. Alright, see you in a bit. Right, so I've just purged the keg with some CO2. Which actually, on reflection, I probably should have done after I've added some other stuff. Bear with. Right, so that's going in. Whoa, that smells good. It's a big honk of CO2. If I pass out, I'm going the blooper reel. So I've plunged the coffee. I've probably got about 300 mils. Used 100 grams of ground coffee. When you cold brew coffee, it actually requires a little bit more coffee. So this is going to go in. Right, going to open her up and hope she goes somewhere. Oh, she's going. She's going. Could do with clearing up a bit. It's got that kind of murkiness to it. So straight on the nose, you're getting the cacao nibs, the chocolate. You're getting a tiny bit of booziness from that bourbon I added. Let's give it a go. So it's, yeah, sweet kind of oatmeal stout. There's lactose in it. You can tell there's lactose in it. A little bit of bourbon, I think, has added that kind of oakiness to it, I think. That's good. I'm pleased with that. Obviously it's going to taste quite different with the coffee and the hazelnut added. I'm hoping for a bigger hazelnut flavour than what was in the original, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Next video will be me tasting the final beer, which will be probably in a couple of weeks. For you, it will be now. Hello, you lovely lot. So it's time for the tasting video, and it has been a full month since I brewed this beer. So it was 28th of June I brewed this beer, and it's the 28th of July today. So this has been conditioning for I think about 16 days. It's been sat in the keg. I have given it a few tastes. Initially, probably just after about 5 or 6 days, and the coffee was overwhelming. It needed to calm down a bit. I think it was tasting a little alcoholic as well. So overall, Brewday went pretty well. I think the beer ended up at 6.2% rather than the planned 6.3%. We came in at a 1072 original gravity, and it finished at 1025, which is no great surprise given there was some lactose in it. So it's finished slightly sweeter, which is what I was after. Fermented this with London Ale 3, so there should be some kind of fruity esters going on in here as well, which you know, a London Ale 3 is a yeast that's now synonymous with New England IPAs and hazies, but actually is a traditional English ale strain, so it's actually very, very good for English style bitters and London bitters and porters and stouts. So if you have some in the fridge, you know, do experiment with the styles of beer that you are using it with. I've got a fresh pouch actually sat in the fridge, which I shall be using probably in a New England IPA, but in some other styles as well. So let's get to the beer review. Still haven't told you anything really about the actual beer. So the head is not brilliant, the head formation. I don't know what that was. Large bubbles, it's not hanging around. It's been sat at 10 psi for 2 weeks, so the carbonation should be there. Maybe the glass wasn't all that clean, I'm not sure. It's jet black. I mean, look at that, like, there's no way you're seeing through that. It's way up. I think it was like 93 BC or something like that. So I have got a bit of a cold, so I'm hoping that's not going to interfere with my senses. Yeah, so straight off the bat you're getting that kind of sweet, really roasty style of beer, which is what you would expect. Immediately reminiscent of the beer that I'm trying to clone. Masses of coffee, loads of dark chocolate. I'm not really picking the hazelnut up in the aroma. Much like the original beer review at the beginning of this video. Yeah. Cheers. So it is a sweet beer. It's not cloyingly sweet, but it's definitely sweet. Broken Dream is a milk stout, it's a sweet milk stout. The body is just lovely and thick, it's just lusciously thick. There's absolutely bags of chocolate. There's no mistaking this is a big chocolate stout, really. The coffee's definitely calmed down. It's there, it's present. Definitely get it in the back. The coffee kind of hangs around, much like if you drink a cup of coffee, it coats the mouth. Hazelnut is quite a subtle flavour. It's not like if you add coconut. Coconut's just an immediately recognisable flavour. Vanilla, it's another classic. I think if I was to brew it again, I'd put less coffee in. There's something there that kind of really clings to your palate. And whether that's the cacao nibs, maybe you use too much cacao nibs, maybe it's the coffee. I think it's the coffee. Don't think it was any part of the grain bill. The hazelnut's definitely not there, to be honest. I'm certainly not picking it up. That may be my cold. There's definitely components of that beer that are very, very similar to the Broken Dream beer that I was trying to claim. So if you've enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. It really helps me out. And if you're not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button, click on the bell, that way you won't miss any future videos. And please feel free to leave a comment. Love to chat to you guys about beer and making beer. So make good beer, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.